Hi guys. February is all about love and romance, and we at Bookish Brits have been talking about the things that we love to do with books and authors and all things that come with that. And there are lots of things that I love about books, but I decided to talk about something that has a bit of a stigma attached to it, because I think it's important that we talk about stuff like this. This is something that I've loved for almost a decade, and that is Regency Romance. Historical romance, but specifically Regency Romance. Because there is quite a stigma attached to it. Ever since 50 Shades of Grey and the splurge of erotica that hit our shelves after that, now if you say that you're reading an adult book or something that has anything sexy remotely related to it, people assume that you're reading filthy porn, which is terrible, and actually means that people miss out on some really good books. I get that stigma a lot when people come in and look at my bookshelves for the first time. They see my row of Julia Quinn books, and they look at the spines and they gasp and they go, "Oh my god, you're reading what amounts to pretty dresses and porn. Your opinion of books is immediately invalidated." And that's just based on a small percentage of books that I read. And I think that's really awful that people are so closed-minded about books that contain romance, that contain sex. Chick lit gets a lot of this as well. People ridicule authors and readers of chick lit. And some of these books are really amazing, and I think it's terrible that people are just shutting them out without even considering them. I think part of that comes from the covers. The UK covers are trying to dial down the crazy a little bit, and they have some quite safe covers coming out in the last couple of years. This is a Julia Quinn. It immediately shows you what time period you're in. It's a very watercolour, light, fluffy, this is a romance book. This book you could read on the tube, and no one's going to judge you particularly badly for it. Well, they will judge you, but not badly. However, the American covers, they're amazing. I love the American covers. The American covers are proud about what is inside. So this one, the front cover is not that bad. The back cover, it all gets incredibly exciting. The back cover, the picture on this, there are variations. They can be on the back cover, they can be on the front cover, they can be on the step back. And they immediately tell the person who's looking at your books that there is going to be shirtless hugging happening at some point. I love these covers personally. I've gone out of my way to find the American covers of romance books because I think they're fantastic. But a lot of people judge them because they assume that if they've got heaving bosoms and rippling abs on them, that they mustn't contain any particular plot or anything remotely resembling a good story inside. Which is really sad because it, as I've said, it blocks out a huge percentage of books for people to read. I love them for a variety of reasons. The first is that they give me happily ever afters. I know that I'm going to get a happy ending with these books. They're fluffy, they're light, they're romantic. They're just so fabulous. I love books that don't have happy endings and have hopeful endings or sad endings, but every now and again I need something that is going to reassure me that everything is okay with the world, that everyone gets a happily ever after and it's all wonderful. Because there's so much sadness in the world that sometimes we just need a lift. So Regency romances are my chicken soup. They're what I go for when I'm not feeling very well or when I'm depressed. I know that I'm going to fall in love with this hero and heroine just like they're falling in love with each other, and it's going to be wonderful. I also love that there's a formula to them. You have your hero and heroine who either hate each other from the start, or they've been best friends since they were children, or they meet in a crowded ballroom and there's a magnetic attraction. There is something, a driving force that will bring these two together in some way. About halfway through, one or both of them will start realising that they love the other person. It's usually the woman who realises first, the men are slightly slower on the uptake. 3/4 of the way through, there's usually some shirtless hugging and everyone's really happy, and then there's some tragic secret comes out, or a lie is revealed, or there's a misunderstanding, everything goes horribly wrong, and it all looks like it's going to be a terrible, terrible ending. But then it's all resolved, and by the end everyone's happy and in love, and admitted they're in love, and probably getting married, and it's wonderful, and I love having that. I also love that the time period allows some really fantastic restrictions. There are the social etiquettes of the period. Gentlemen are actually gentlemen. They come to call on a lady who they love or admire. They bring her flowers. They take her out for rides in the park. It's fantastic. I love all of that. I love the balls. I love the dresses. And I love the fact that it all means so much more. We don't have... Virginity nowadays is something that you want to get rid of as quickly as possible. That is what the media portrays, and the general idea is that it's something terrible that, you know, you should hide under the carpet. And in these books, it's not like that. It's something to be coveted. It's something that means that when there is sex in the books, it means so much more. Instead of it just being a quick shag, it is two people who genuinely love each other coming together and expressing that love, and I think that's fantastic. I also love that, similar with young adult books, there is a lot of build-up to that first kiss, and they don't tend to go beyond that with the relationship. Because of the social etiquette of the time, ladies and gentlemen weren't allowed to spend time alone with each other. There was no touching, there was no kissing. So all of that, every emotion is heightened, every touch, every glance, so that when they come together and actually have their first kiss, it's a really incredible moment, and it's been built up so much that it's just a really amazing part of the book. And I love that build-up. I think that's fantastic. I think it adds a huge amount to the story. And the other thing that I love is that they tackle sex. Sex is still very much a taboo subject these days. Not nearly as much as it was. We've got the internet, we've got TV, so many things are tackling sex, but it's still very stylized, very fade to black, very pretty on TV shows and films particularly. Young adult books, as I've said, they focus on the kiss and the build-up, but they don't tend to go very much further than that. Adult books, they either fade to black, or they do the erotica, everything is all hung out, and that's not for everyone. And I think it's important to have a middle line, and Regency Romance walks that middle line. They have sex scenes, it's not all fade to black, but it's tastefully done. It's not all horrifying metaphors. Sometimes it is, but not always. You have to pick and choose quite carefully. And they actually talk about sex, and particularly for slightly older people who maybe didn't have the internet as much, information about sex wasn't as readily available. It was something that you didn't talk about. So I discovered these at a point that it was quite useful and interesting to know that sex wasn't supposed to be some thing that you did at a party. It was something that you did with someone you loved, and something to be celebrated. And I think that's fantastic that they talk about it without making it gratuitous, and they actually celebrate the fact that it's about two people who love each other. Maybe that's mushy and sentimental of me, but that is one of the reasons why I love it particularly. So, Regency Romance are my jam, basically. And if you have been putting off reading them, if you've looked at them and assumed that they aren't going to have any plot, I highly recommend just giving it a go. The authors that I particularly recommend are Eloisa and Julia Quinn. They both do some really fantastic historical romances. They're funny, they're well written, they've got great plots. I never feel like I've read the same book. Even though they all follow a set formula, I never feel like I've read the same book over and over again. And I think they are something that we should be talking about more, and that more people would actually enjoy them if they stop looking at the covers and assuming that there's nothing to them. I think they're an overlooked branch of fiction, and there's something that a lot of people actually would really enjoy. So, that's me wittering at you for this Friday. I will see you guys in 2 weeks.